This is the smallest and cheapest sewing machine I could find. I bought it on sale for less than $20. It looks like a toy, but I wanna know if this little battery-powered sewing machine can actually make an RC parachute. So stick around and see what went wrong, what problems I had to solve, and what surprised me the most about this little machine. Let's see what's inside the box. It's small and light, almost like a toy. On the bottom there's a place for the batteries. Let's put them in. It can also work with this adapter. Oh, there's a little light. Nice. I will need earplugs for this one. It can go slow or fast. Here is the foot pedal. Let's plug it in and try it. Oh, there's no speed regulation. But now it's threading time. Threading means putting the thread on the spool through the guides and into the needle. We also need to add the bottom bobbin and pull the thread out. When that's done, it's setup time. I'm using a real parachute fabric. It's very soft, thin and slippery. That makes it really hard for any sewing machine. Here's my first stitch. Let's take a look. There's a problem. The bottom thread is too tight, or the top thread is too loose. So I increased the tension and made another test stitch. Well, now it looks much better. You see the difference? But there's one more problem. The fabric shrinks while I sew. The thread tension is too high. So I made test samples and measured the shrink. Oh no, that's too much. I was thinking how to fix this problem. The bottom bobbin is held in place by a magnet, which also creates the thread tension. Then I put a thin plastic under the bobbin to help it move smoother. I also made the top thread a bit looser. So let's make a few more samples. The last sample shrank only 3 millimeters. I was so happy. And now it's fabric time. Glass is the best surface for cutting with a hot knife. I'm using some old army fabric I bought years ago. It's perfect for testing, because things might go wrong. First, I cut large pieces of green fabric, where I will sew the reinforcement strip along the front edge. Later, I will cut these pieces into the top and bottom cells. Then I started cutting the ribs using white fabric. I used a cardboard template and a hot knife. Actually, it's just a soldering iron with a sharp tip. It works great and makes clean cuts. I need 13 inner ribs and 2 outer ribs. And now it's sewing time. Now I'm sewing a 5 mm reinforcement strip onto the edge of the fabric. Everything looks fine. I will cut this fabric into the top and bottom cells for the parachute. I'm actually quite surprised. So far, this mini sewing machine is working surprisingly well. Since I set it up, I haven't got any problems at all. I use a cardboard template to cut out the top and the bottom cells. I need 14 of each. And believe me, that's quite a lot of cutting. So, my friend, now it's time to put all these parts together. I always start with a side rip and the first cell from the outside. Oh no! I ran out of thread on the bottom bobbin for the first time. Instead of using a sewing machine to rewind it, I took a shortcut and used my drill. It's way faster. Cover. Okay. While I kept sewing, a new problem happened. The top bobbin fell off. I was worried about, was it just a random thing or would the problem happen again? When I finished the next cell and rip, the bottom layer of fabric slipped a bit. And that is not good. Almost 1.5 centimeter. So I had to unpick the stitches and try again. This time I pinned the two tricky layers together. Then I had an even better idea. I could lightly melt the layers together with my hot knife. That idea worked great. After that, the fabric didn't slip anymore and sewing went smoothly. I wanted to film a few different camera angles. I finished the top part of the parachute without any bigger problems. Next, I had to do some hand sewing with the thread left from each stitch. I used it to make the front joint stronger, the place where two cells and the rib meet. That's the most stressed part when the parachute opens. This job isn't directly part of testing the sewing machine, but it has to be done before I kept sewing. Each knot is fixed with a tiny drop of super glue. On the bottom side of the parachute, I need to add small loops for the lines later. The stitches here must be strong. Because I can't change the stitch length, I leave the presser foot and move the fabric forward by hand, slowly. This makes the stitches stronger.
Honestly, this little machine is doing much better than I expected. Even for something that works on batteries, it's amazing actually.
I really wonder how long the batteries will last. These are still the very first ones that came with the machine. Now you can hear that the machine is running slower than at the start. So the batteries are almost out. Will they last for a few more stitches? I just need to sew the last side of the parachute and then it will be completely finished.
Final cut.
The parachute is finished. When the parachute was finished, I attached the lines. I had already prepared them earlier. Then I connected everything to the pilot. I went to a nearby hill for a test flight. It was a bit windy, but the parachute worked great. I already have a crazy idea for the next project with this parachute. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it. And if you can, please share this video with someone who might be interested. Now, let's go to the final report.
This little sewing machine really surprised me. It actually stitched a full RC parachute with just one set of AA batteries. It's noisy, it's really noisy, but it handled hours of sewing better than I expected. My small modification, adding a thin plastic under the lower bobbin, reduced fabric shrinking for about 75%, which is perfect. The big downside is a fixed stitch length of around 4 mm, which limits precision work. So yes, it can sew a parachute. And here is the gold medal. But for beginners, a proper $100 sewing machine with adjustable tension and stitch length is much better choice. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.